What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 91 of Birds vs. Boys. We have an absolutely action-packed show. The Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles both coming off big victories last week. Hopefully you caught our instant reaction pods on YouTube. 15 minutes from me, 13 minutes from Aidan. Nothing but absolute pure gold. And we have even more gold to give you today, including Aidan's flu game, ladies and gentlemen. Aidan is very, very sick. His heat doesn't work, but guess what? He's here. Aidan, thank you.
Thank you for my service. Good to be here with everybody. You might hear a few coughs and a few sniffles. I've got the suds, but listen, Nick Sirianni said that when we beat the Falcons, that was round one. No. That was friendly sparring. This next stretch against the Saints is round one. We should be fired up. I couldn't miss this. If you're watching on YouTube, I know I'm doing a fighting analogy, but it is not a coincidence that I look like Rocky. That kind of just happened because the heat doesn't work in my house.
I don't know if you look like Rocky or I don't know what you look like.
I look like a sick puppy, I'll tell you right now. But I am fired up. I am very fired up. This is where the emotion of glee and happiness hasn't been in the Philadelphia vocabulary very often. So to have it here tonight means it's going to be a special show.
It is. Including special show. Do you want to tell the people who we have on tonight?
Yep, another great guest. We went Eagles guest last week. This week we're going Roy White. He is with Blogging with the Boys at Blogging the Boys. I think everybody in Philadelphia knows that blog because it's like the Bleeding Green Nation of the Cowboys. He also hosts the Extra Crispy Pod every Friday. So Dallas Fort Worth guy, big Cowboys fan. So we'll see how this goes. We'd have a string of Eagles guests lately. So now we got to get a Cowboys guy in here with a big game against the Chiefs.
I know. I was in there. I was all out on the DMs. I'm like, all right, I gotta bring somebody in for me because we did have a string of Cowboys guests at one, especially last year. And you've loved every single one of them. So
that's a lot of pressure on this guy tonight.
It is.
He's gonna be like, even though I'm on with a homeless person who is like squatting in somebody's house to do this interview, I got to bring my A game. I hope he knows that.
He better. If he doesn't bring the A game, then I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. We have nothing but A game to give you. So, like I said, Cowboys came off a bludgeoning of the Falcons last week. So congratulations to both of us. We both beat a homeless team and a terrorist organization together this year.
The sleepy time tea is hitting real good.
You may not even make it to the interview.
This might be a solo interview.
We'd have to bring Vince in.
No, it was a great week. Listen. In the 2 years of this existence of this podcast, there have been very rare times where both of us have won a football game. Doesn't happen often. So I'm very glad that it did because the spirits are up. Even if my immune system is down for the count. Another fighting analogy. But we're here, and this is going to be a good week. And I think we're excited about our games coming up because they're good tests for us, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So Eagles have the Saints at home, Dallas on the road against Kansas City. So I'll give you the floor. Obviously, since we have the Cowboys guests, I'm not going to deep dive into this game a lot because obviously we have Cowboys questions and game analysis questions. I will go into a little bit of detail prior, but I'm going to give the floor to you. Hopefully you can speak and talk about your Philadelphia Eagles and an Eagles team where I think they're going to make the playoffs, but I'm going to leave it there.
No. You're doing this on purpose. You're not doing this in place of authenticity.
They don't have to get on a plane the rest of the season.
Don't steal my thunder. That's part of my spiel. Listen, the enemy of Philadelphia sports is always excitement and hope. You should never have it, but you should be at least pleasantly surprised with the way things are shaping out for the Eagles. As Kevin mentioned, they do not get on a plane again this year. They'll go up to the Meadowlands, MetLife, whatever you want to call it, FedEx Field. And they go to MetLife twice and FedEx Field. That's it. Every other game is at home. But take that one step further. Look at the opponents they're playing and look at how the season has unfolded about halfway. Anytime they face a competent quarterback, they look like a possum crossing the highway. They just get completely obliterated. The defense is immediate roadkill. Like Mahomes, Herbert, Dak just got obliterated. Like a little possum trying to cross a highway. That's what our defense looks like. Give them some schmuck who is at best average to below average.
Is that best Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah, he is the definition of average, and look what happened. And Trevor Siemian coming up, we'll go through the list, but I would put him in the same category as Teddy Bridgewater. Mm-hmm. Give them an average to below average quarterback. They look like a tiger on the roam in the jungle. That's what that defense looks like. So here's the quarterbacks for the rest of the year. Trevor Siemian, Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Mike White, or Joe Flacco. Pick your poison of New York Jets bad quarterbacks. Taylor Heineke, Daniel Jones again, Taylor Heineke again, Dak, but probably Cooper Rush. The floor is yours, Philadelphia Eagles. Somehow you are here. I don't know how it happened, but here you are. This is your moment. This is your stretch. I just think I'd be way more excited if the Phillies weren't like, oh, all we have to do is beat the Marlins, the Pirates, and the Orioles to get in the playoffs, because we know how that turned out. But I have some hope with this team. Famous last words, but the path is there. You can see the path like going through a tunnel in Pittsburgh. At the other side, you can see the brightness.
They are going to make the playoffs, somehow host a playoff game. No, they wouldn't, because they're going to go to LA. They could host a playoff game, right?
If we are the 6th seed and the 7th seed beats the 2 seed, I think.
True.
It would have to be like the most insane scenario ever.
But all right, let's say you're going to go to LA and beat the Rams somehow in the first round of the playoffs.
I've never been afraid of the Rams ever in my life. I've never been afraid of them.
And then you're going to go on the road and get waxed by the Packers in the second round. That's what's
fine with me. That's fine with me. As long as they take you out next round, I can be content with that. How funny would it be if we were the 7th seed and you were the 2 seed?
Oh God,
that'd be. Listen, I don't know if we'd win. We'd probably get our ass kicked just like last time. But content-wise, that would be the dream scenario.
I don't think you'd be watching that game in a boxing ring with me and AC.
Oh no. I will be in isolation, like I am on death row, and I only get sunlight for 10 minutes a day.
So how you look right now?
Pretty much, yep. Like this how it is currently. Hopefully the heat works by then. But yeah, aside from that, yeah, exactly the same as what I look like right now.
I don't know, man. I keep, every time I look at the schedule, every time I look just how they played against Denver, I'm sure they're going to lose a clunker. They're going to lose a game to the Giants. Maybe they're going to lose. They're not winning out.
No. Well, odds are against them. That's how I'm going to determine whether I'm in on Hurts and Sirianni. If you lose to the Giants, I'm out. There's no coming back. Yeah, there's no coming back. Can't lose to them. In my mind, when I think losers, I think Giants and Joe Judge, because we always beat them. Mm-hmm. Even before Joe Judge was there, we just always beat them. We lose to them, I'm out. Even if we don't make the playoffs, I'm scared about the 49ers. I think they're going to be really good, but I'm out.
I think this game this week really sways on Alvin Kamara playing or not. I know he's back at practice, so that's going to be a big time deal.
I believe he's going to play, and I think we need to continue with our strategy from this past week, where they were the aggressor finally. Like, we're finally seeing them be the aggressor a little bit. There's a pretty solid 1-2 punch back there for the Broncos. I like that Javonte Williams kid a lot. Melvin Gordon's been sturdy. So, they stymied them a good amount, forced a turnover. I think the same thing applies this week. And, they've been playing this defense that everybody hates until recently, that prevent defense, don't let anything over the top. What wide receiver on the Saints is scaring you? For the past 6 years, that's been the Saints' problem. They can't beat you over the top. All they could do was throw a Santa Michael Thomas, and he's gone.
Yep. So, does Gannon need to wear those sunglasses the rest of the season? Game?
Yeah. Yes. I don't care if we play at 1 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I don't care if the game gets postponed because of snow and moved to a Tuesday, and Ed Rendell calls everyone a wuss again. He's wearing the sunglasses every game.
Have to, right? Have to.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like...
Yeah, I was like, you either look like the best defensive coordinator of all time, or you look like you are about to get thrown out of a 4th grade girls soccer game.
Mm-hmm. And those Eagles fans traveled once again. They showed up big. It was like every time CBS showed the crowd, it was Eagle fans.
Took it over again. That's good. I'll tell you what, Jets game in a few weeks, It's going to be 80% Eagles fans, without a doubt.
This would have been awesome if we had some ability to have some content there for Brandon, but maybe next time.
What, at Denver?
Yeah.
Maybe next time in 4 years, 8 years, whatever it is. But no, one serious thing on the Eagles. The Flower thing is like making sense. Like they're growing. Like you see constant development every week. I think it's hilarious because it's such a stupid saying. But Sirianni has become a better play caller, and Hurts has become better at going through progressions, staying in the pocket, making good throws. Like they actually are growing. Like this is like exactly what you wanted to see.
So does that mean like ADD Brandon Staley is starting to take over regular Brandon Staley? It seems like their paths are crossing, going opposite ways right now.
Yeah, I have a point on the Chargers. I have some around the NFL points, and I hope I'm not getting too off track. But since you brought up the Chargers, I have created my own analytics system.
Okay.
And my analytics system tells me that the Chargers defense leads the league in like back-breaking, can't get off the field third downs.
Yep.
They are so bad. I don't know if you saw the game against the Vikings, but they needed to get the ball back. It happened all day, but this was the last possession. They had him in like third and long, gave up a bomb to Justin Jefferson, who caught on the sideline, but we're given Sutton like a second chance, get out of jail free, because they moved it back to 1st and 25 on a penalty. It ended up being 3rd and 20. They get 18 yards to make it 4th and 2. And then they let Cook convert. He fumbles, but they don't recover it. They could not get Herbert back on the field. In my analytics system, they are the worst on third downs.
I'm sure we could look that up on other analytic sites to see if that matches yours. I'm sure it does because it's science.
Yeah, I think so. That my math was sturdy in my brain. Mm-hmm. It passed. Listen, I gave it the old eye lookaroo. I watched most of that game.
Went to Temple.
And what?
And you went to Temple?
The Temple education, baby. That's right.
Mm-hmm. What else you got?
Do you want to do anything more Eagles? Because I think those were my big points on them.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, November 17th. I'm saying they're making the playoffs.
Don't like that you said that. I am pretty confident at this point. What also helps them, like the road, like I said, the road is paved perfectly. Think about the teams that are ahead of them: Panthers, Falcons, like teams that they beat. They beat the Saints. Like they'll own the tiebreaker against the 3 teams that are ahead of them. The only worry you should have is the 49ers, who I think are going to end up being pretty good.
Yep. All right, I can jump in. I can jump in Cowboys a little bit because I have a few things I wanted to catch before Roy White. So obviously last week was an absolute cakewalk, right? Fox took the game off my television in the third quarter.
Hilarious.
Which I was not happy about. I had to watch it on my phone the rest of the time.
Listen, we got a treat in that Steelers-Lions game. I don't care what anybody says. That was hilarious.
No, it was. It was great. I was a little worried at the beginning of the game because Kyle Pitts' first play of the game, once the Cowboys scored, was 18 yards. It's just like 18 yards and 16 yards. I was like, hello, does anybody know Kyle Pitts is there? Can we please? But they were able to figure that out. All 3 starting cornerbacks get an interception, which was awesome. But now looking forward, this is kind of the gauntlet of their season right now. They play 3 games in 12 days. 2 on the road. So at Kansas City, Raiders at home on Thanksgiving, at New Orleans. I mean, you have to go 2-1 in this stretch. They have to.
I'll tell you what, timing. We just talked about the timing being good for the Eagles side. Timing, not so good on the Cowboys side because the Chiefs look like the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Finally.
It seems like
that was scary.
Both teams had their quote unquote get right games. At the same time, and now they're
on a collision course. Yep, that's one of those games I think you just bet the over because it's fun to bet the over.
And then it's going to be 27-24.
I honestly think it's going to be 27-27 with somebody having the ball to go down and take the lead and win the game and kick a field goal. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. They're going to have to get pressure on Mahomes. Make him cover out, make him be patient, and get some pressure on him. Because also, the Chiefs are starting their 3rd string right tackle in this game. Micah Parsons needs to be part of this game plan because his wrecking ability in games right now. Did you see him against the Falcons, that sidestep and the speed on his sack of Matt Ryan, it's just.
I don't think I've ever seen a player lining up at defensive end Euro step an offensive tackle like that.
It's unbelievable.
He Euro stepped them. It was hilarious.
He's just like, and he wants to be everywhere because the Cowboys audio of the sidelines, he's like, I want to be on the D line. I want to be in the trenches. And Brent Urban's like, you don't want to be in there, man. It gets dirty in there. He's like, you know where I'm from? I'm a city boy, dog.
Hell yeah.
How much you love that?
I love it.
Yeah, no, so he needs to be a big part of this game plan. And another big X factor in this game is going to be Tyron Smith. Does he play? Does he not? Everything coming out of the Cowboys is sounding positive about him playing. He was able to do on Wednesday, quote unquote, exactly what they expected him to do practice-wise. Stephen Jones said on 105.3 The Fan this week that he expects him to have a very good chance to play, and all the insiders are saying that that's what they think. So having Tyron Smith and La'el Collins back to hold it down at tackles is going to be very important for Dak and this offense because they need to score points this game.
Oh, yeah. And I just thought about this as well. Chiefs, we talked about timing. Also looks like they're getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire back this week.
They are. Okay.
So a little boost there in the running game.
Yeah. A spot where the Cowboys somewhat struggle against the run. But they were able to shut down Dalvin Cook, but then the Broncos were able to run all over them. But that Broncos game is an outlier. That's not who this Cowboys team is. That's just one of those days where Dak was off, people were dropping passes, everything was off. So obviously not going to have DeMarcus Lawrence back in this game, not going to have Randy Gregory back in this game. So both of their D ends are out, but they're going to have other guys step up just like they did last week. Dorrance Armstrong had a sack and a blocked punt. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in this game. I'm excited. I am very, very excited for this game. The Chiefs are going to get theirs. Obviously, it's just what they do. And the Cowboys defense is not a dominant shut you down defense. They need a lead to play with. So Dak needs to show up. Mari needs to show up. Everybody, Zeke and Pollard need to be big time in this game because you need to obviously score. They need to put up points. The Cowboys like to be flashy, throw the ball, but you also got to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands. So the running attack's going to be very important as well.
Yeah, this has to be 6-7 minute drives where they pan to Mahomes on the sideline.
Yep.
He's just sitting there pacing back and forth. That is the type of game that you should be playing. But with the amount of weapons that the Cowboys have, they can play that way. They can win in shootouts, or they can kind of grind you. So,
which I love.
Well, I was about to say that makes a complete team.
And my last note on this game before we move on. This goes out to Jackson Mahomes. You must be in the stadium for this game.
No.
You must be on the field in this game. I need you dancing. I need you shaking. I need you jiving. I need you doing everything you can. I need 17 TikToks out of you pregame because Jackson was not in Vegas. He was not there. And the Chiefs look like the Chiefs. So we need you in the building, Jackson. Do your thing, buddy. Love you. Love you, Jackson Mahomes. Do your thing.
Do you think he got shadow banned? Do you think they were like, no offense, but you're not coming?
I think so.
I honestly do believe conspiracy theory time. I think somebody put the word as like, he's not. Like, it's a distraction at this point. We don't want him.
Yep.
Or it could have been Patrick himself who was like, all right, I'm done answering. I'm done dealing with this. I'm tired of seeing it online. I'm trying to win another Super Bowl.
Yep. And especially in Vegas. I don't need you dancing on the strip and shit.
No. Yeah. Listen, everything we've seen with the Raiders, Vegas is a disaster to play there and be there.
Did we know that was coming?
Oh, absolutely. Every game's going to be a party. It's not going to be a football game. The problem is, off the field, it's also a party.
Exactly. All right. You got anything else, or you want to invite our guest in?
Let's do it. All right. Roy White III of Blogging the Boys coming up right now. Cowboys have a circle the calendar game on their hands against the Chiefs this week. We'll talk to him about that, the NFC playoff landscape, and a whole lot more. So here he is, Roy White III, presented by Stateside Vodka.
All right, Aidan, we are now joined by another A+ guest here on BVB. He is a great Dallas Cowboys media personality. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the cowboy hat. You can find him on the Extra Crispy podcast as well as blogging the boys. You can also find him on Twitter at RDub3. That's spell out 3, TREE. It's the one and only Roy White. What's going on, man? Welcome to Birds vs. Boys. How you doing?
Hey, appreciate it. Kevin, Aidan, man, what a great concept of a show. I'm sure you guys have fans from all over the place that want to chime in what's going on in this rivalry. And hey, man, I'm flattered that y'all would think of me in that light to have me on and discuss it. So I can't wait. I'm so excited, and thanks for having me.
Fans is true, right? It's funny. So like our Twitter account, we tweet out pro Cowboy stuff, pro Eagle stuff. We don't get much hate though. I thought we'd get much more hate from like Eagles fans whenever I tweet out like CeeDee Lamb doing the dance, and we don't.
Yeah,
well,
they're like bees. They just keep to themselves unless you try to sting them. So it's like, or try to get them, then they sting you.
Well, and then they also have to just admit that the CeeDee Lamb dance is awesome. And it really can't be denied whether you're an Eagles fan or a Cowboys fan either way, right? You just have to kind of take that and sit with it and know that it's true.
Yeah.
Especially for Aidan, because Aidan's two favorite players in the last two drafts have been CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons.
Soul crushing, to say the least.
Yeah, trading out of that spot even still, that's like it makes it hurt even worse. I thought in that moment, I was like, I'll never trade with the Eagles. Right? I don't care what the circumstances are. I'll never do it. And now, reflecting on it, it makes the deal a little bit sweeter, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Kevin?
And it did. It does. And we were together live streaming the draft too. And when that trade came down, we just looked at each other. I was like, "What just happened?" I couldn't believe it. All right, so Roy. Obviously, week 9, the Cowboys lose big in Denver, right? And then week 10, the Cowboys come back and win big against Atlanta. So week 11's coming up. They take on the Chiefs, and the Chiefs kind of did the same thing. They had their quote-unquote get-right game. So what do you think we get this week out of the Cowboys? Do we get something similar to week 9, similar to week 10, or something in the middle?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to get a team that's going to play up to the competition that they're facing. The question is it going to be enough, right? The expectation against Chiefs offense that finally righted the ship this past week, and quite frankly, is getting a very dangerous weapon back this week, in all likelihood, in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that they haven't had for the past several weeks. That, to me, still, gives me question marks when I look at the Cowboys secondary and how they're going to defend it. Yes, did Jordan Lewis have a great game against Kyle Pitts? He absolutely did, right? Was the secondary nails against the Atlanta Falcons? They were, but that Falcons offense doesn't present nearly the type of threats that the Kansas City Chiefs are capable of. And so when I think about righting the ship, it was exactly the type of game the Cowboys needed, right? No mucking around, game's over at halftime. They iced it away, and even Dak Prescott got his legs back underneath him with a rushing touchdown late, which a lot of people had a problem with. I don't, right? I have no problem with Dak reestablishing himself as a physical presence because he's capable of that, and he just hasn't done it this year because all the talk has been about how's he going to bounce back with that injured ankle. So everything that a Cowboys fan could have wanted to see last week, they absolutely got, but kind of what we didn't want to see on the other side with the Kansas City Chiefs righting the ship, we got that too. So what I expect this weekend, I expect it to be a high-scoring affair, and I think it's a game that while I would love the Cowboys to win, I think they ultimately wind up losing that game by a few points.
That's kind of what Aidan said. What'd you say, in like 27-27, last drive field goal wins it?
Yeah. It's like whoever has the ball last, tie game, 3 minutes left. Someone goes on a drive, kicks the field goal to win it. I just feel like it'll be close throughout, a lot of points, and kind of like what you said, probably a field goal, maybe a touchdown, but I think it'll be a close game.
Now the Cowboys have the pressure, like they have the ability to make Patrick Mahomes have some trouble, right? The defensive line is starting to get healthy again. Dorrance Armstrong came on in a big way this past weekend, which is, something they desperately needed. Someone besides Randy Gregory and Micah Parsons to show up along that defensive line. With what they can do with Micah Parsons, he could wind up being the X factor. He could be the X factor every week, quite frankly, for this defense because he can be used in so many different ways. But ultimately, You are going up against Patrick Mahomes. You are going up against a Chiefs team that, for all the knocks against them, right? There's only one team in the AFC that has more wins than they do, right? As bad as everybody's been talking down about the Kansas City Chiefs, the Tennessee Titans are the only team with a better record in their conference. So, it is still a very dangerous opponent. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes and the number one tight end and the number one wide receiver, in my estimation, in the league, that's a dangerous combo.
Like, and that number one wide receiver in Tyreek Hill is the exact type of wide receiver that scares me when Trayvon Diggs is on them.
Yes. When Trayvon Diggs is on him, really when the secondary is responsible for him, right? And that's not even considering that you have to then also account for Travis Kelce, the best, pass catching tight end in the NFL, because you pay so much attention to Tyreek Hill taking your top off, and yet a game like last week, Patrick Mahomes throws almost half of his passes within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, right? Just dinking and dunking. That aspect of their game and the rediscovery of it is what scares me the most, because what Patrick Mahomes has done in recent weeks, and they've struggled, is he's tried to score 3 touchdowns in one throw, right? He's trying to make the spectacular play instead of just making the play that the defense gives you. And if he does that, I think the Cowboys defense, for as well as they've played against mediocre competition, quite frankly, for as well as they've played, they're going to give Patrick Mahomes plays, and he just has to take them.
So who would be your X factor to kind of try and take that away? Because for me, on Travis Kelce wise, for me, it'd probably be Jaron Kearse.
Yeah, I mean, you bring him down and you play him a little bit straight up. I mean, you give Jordan Lewis a chance, right? Based on what he did with Kyle Pitts, you give him a chance, although, you don't have a very long leash with those opportunities. And then, is Micah Parsons involved in that? We really haven't seen Micah Parsons in coverage a ton. That was an aspect of it that I thought we would see him utilized a little bit more with. And, another player that got a lot of pub in the draft that we thought would be utilized in that capacity in that position was Jabril Cox. And we really haven't seen very much of him at all. So, X factor wise, Jordan Lewis, Jaron Kearse, I think you're right there with the guys that you'll be identifying that you'll try to use to take Travis Kelce away. But can you really take Travis Kelce away from Patrick Mahomes?
No, you cannot.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, it's a scary game, but at the same time, the Cowboys have nothing to lose. Now, I think national media wise, it's going to be a lose-lose for the Cowboys.
Yep.
If they win, it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs have struggled largely over the past several weeks. If they lose, they're going to say, see, they don't really match up against a Super Bowl contender. So even though they may wind up being underdogs as we get to this game on Sunday, it's a little bit kind of, in my opinion, I think it's a lose-lose for them from a national media standpoint this game, right? They kind of can't gain anything by winning, and they can only lose something by losing.
That's why I flip right past those national media shows in the morning.
Amen. Yeah, I don't understand the ratings thing that they get. There must be some massive calculation about all the sports clips and just businesses that have ESPN on in the background or whatever the national media coverage is on in the background, right? They get a bonus from that, where you think to yourself, I don't know a single human that wakes up and watches any of those shows.
No one.
No, not a real one.
It's on there, but yeah, you're right. My gym, if I go in the morning, they have 7 TVs, and it's Get Up and whatever, Undisputed, and that's all that's on, and it's on every TV.
If that counts for ratings, then no wonder it makes it look like there's hundreds of thousands of people watching or millions of people watching. But I can't name any of them.
Oh God, me either. Definitely 3 of us, not for sure. All right, next question I have for you. So it's sounding positive that Tyron's going to play in this game. He did everything that they expected him to do, quote unquote. But I need to know what side you're on in this Dallas media fan base craze that's happening with the offensive line right now. So Steele's obviously played right tackle. He's played left tackle. Connor Williams has the most penalties of any player in the entire league. If you watch the tape and the numbers, he's not playing as bad as people are saying. It's just the penalties are making him look even worse. So are you keep Tyron at left tackle, Lyle Collins at right tackle with Connor Williams and Steele's your swing tackle? Or are you one of those people that wants to put Steele at right tackle, take Williams out of the lineup with Collins at left guard type player?
I mean, I think it's a nice pipe
Best
dream.
5. Yeah.
Right? Like, we want to imagine, like, Lyle being able to move all over, but he hasn't played guard in the NFL, right? It's been several years since we've had him do that. So there's no assurances that he's able to do that. And I promise you, based on Mike McCarthy's evaluation of this offensive line and his utilization of it in the preseason, right? It's not like they haven't probably tried him there a time or two. Right? Are you telling me that they've never had a practice where they've said, hey, Lyle, why don't you go line up next to Tyron and see how that looks? Right? But that's wound up never being the case because, they get a lot more looks at the reps that are taken at these positions than we do. So, yeah, like I hate to kind of go, well, I trust the coaches over everything, right? Because the coaches don't always make the right decisions. And we've seen that many times over all across the league, right? You guys are dealing with it in Philly on kind of a weekly basis with the decision making that's going on there sometimes. But hey, no hate on it because it's just a young coach, right? It's just a young coach and they're bound to make some mistakes. For Mike McCarthy's case, though, and what they've done to evaluate the offensive line, you definitely keep Tyron at left tackle. If Lyle's healthy, I think he's the starting right tackle, unless, there's a percentage issue there, right? If he's 80%, then I'm good with Tyron, with Steele, right? Terrence Steele being in that position. But as a swing tackle, I think Terrence Steele is a terrific, example of a guy that you can use and utilize. Thank God he's turned into something because Ty Nsekhe has turned into nothing as a free agent signee that they had expected to win that swing tackle job in the offseason. And then Connor Williams, like, you're right. He's had a lot of penalties. It's a concern. There's no question about it. But for the most part, the offensive line has stood up very well, and they've run the ball well, right? A mark of a great offensive line is that you're getting holes for the running backs, and you've got two guys that are in the top 10 or top 15 in the league in rushing the ball, and your rushing offense is one of the better offenses in the league, right? From that aspect. So I give Connor Williams some credit for that. And hey, if they want to run a couple more of the Hulk packages that we saw a couple weeks ago, right, and line one of those guys up in the backfield or both of them, I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I'm surprised that it's not utilized more often because, hey, how much more time does Dak Prescott get if Connor Williams is standing right next to him? Or excuse me, if Connor McGovern is standing right next to him where Williams is on the line in front of him, right? If Terrence Steele is lined up in the backfield, what kind of fun things could you do with that? And finally, could we get that beloved fat man touchdown that we're so longing for?
When I saw McGovern lined up at wide receiver last week, I was just like,
right. Right. Like, I mean, that's probably a little bit too far, Kellen. Yeah. I like it. Close the book just a little bit, like narrow it down. Okay. Aidan, but it's fun.
Aidan, who was calling for that before it even ever happened?
I was just about to say he must have brought this up for 4 straight episodes. Let's try 7 offensive linemen. Let's try this jumbo package. And then it finally happened. I was just like smiling, like
you were like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Yeah. Just pointed at the screen. How they did it.
Man, that's brilliant. Well, I mean, obviously, it's a package that they're becoming more and more comfortable with. They're definitely like working it in, and you assume they've got something tricky at some point they're going to roll out with this season. And hey, this would be a great game to do it because there's going to be a lot of eyes on this football game, right? It's arguably the marquee matchup of the week. I think it is the marquee matchup of the weekend.
Okay, this would be the game. I think this would be the game, but let's take an overarching look at the NFC real quick. So last week, Rams lose. We've got the Cardinals who lose. And then also the Bucs lose. A little bit surprising. So obviously that's great news for the Cowboys. Build me your dream scenario or your dream path through the playoffs to the Super Bowl.
Well, I've said actually on my Blogging the Boys podcast that we'll record a little bit later tonight. It'll be out tomorrow. If you guys want to check that out, it's called Riled Up on the Cowboys. Would appreciate any love and support on that front. But I said a couple weeks ago that I actually think that game in Week 17 against the Arizona Cardinals is going to decide the number 1 seed in the NFC. Right? I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have shown that they're vulnerable enough that They can lose a game they probably shouldn't. And there's some dangerous teams in the NFC South. Obviously not the Falcons included in there, but the New Orleans Saints have been playing some pretty good football. They've got at least a good defense that can keep them in games. And, the Panthers look at least rejuvenated for the time being with the return of Cam Newton. I don't know how far that's going to go, but, the defense is playing well, and they could surprise Tom Brady and the Bucs. So I think they're going to knock each other back a little bit. The Cardinals, I think, will take one more from the Rams to kind of knock them out of the picture, and the loss of Robert Woods is a huge one for them. But to me, Arizona is the most dangerous team in the NFC outside of the Cowboys and really maybe the Packers as well. But Arizona scares me more because one of their losses came only due solely to the fact that they're resting Kyler and DeAndre to make sure those guys are good to go in the playoffs. And if there is a guy that's more elusive, more difficult to track down, harder to tackle in the NFL than Kyler Murray, I don't know who it is. A lot of people might point to Lamar Jackson and his rushing ability, but that's because those are designed rushes. Kyler gets his on 95% of just scrambling, making guys miss. I mean, it is the Michael Vick 2.0 show in my estimation. He's the most elusive, most difficult to tackle in the league. And DeAndre Hopkins is a huge weapon that, yes, I mean, they lost a game, but with him back, you have to expect that they're kind of the other class of the NFC. And then Aaron Rodgers is flirting over there right now as well with Devontae Adams and with an alien Aaron Jones. They got good news on that knee injury, so lucky for them. But hey, A.J. Dillon probably looks like he could step into that role and be just fine.
Amen.
Do they scare you as much? Not to me, no, because they don't have really anybody outside of Devontae Adams that they can count on, including, a guy in the tight end position like Robert Tonyan got a lot of love last year because he caught a lot of touchdowns. But quite frankly, he hasn't been there for Aaron Rodgers hardly at all this season, and I think that's shown. So ideal scenario, have the Cardinals, if I'm working kind of backwards, right, assuming the Cowboys are getting to the NFC Championship game, have the Cardinals and the Packers play one another to get to the other side of that NFC Championship game, right? I'll take my chances. Honestly, even with the Bucs beforehand, right? Because I almost want to get the Bucs early before they start rolling, right? If Tom Brady gets momentum in the playoffs, if they start to get confident again, that's where it scares me, especially if they start to get healthy again, right? Start to get some of those secondary guys back. I'm not scared by their secondary. We should have won that game in week 1 were it not for Greg Zuerlein just not being warmed up enough to start the season, right? He really didn't have any use of his leg all preseason. So ideally, I want to take out kind of Tampa Bay in the early going. I know people probably wouldn't say that, but I'd rather see Green Bay and Arizona fight it out on the other side, take Tampa out in the early going, and then, you win if you get the bye, of course, right? You only have to play those 2 games. So that's that would be pretty exciting.
Well, I like the logic of you have to beat the champ to be the champ. So I kind of like where your head's at. And I'll take the Bucs first. Got to get them out early. Got to knock them out. So
that's for a lot of people, that's going to sound crazy, right? Because you're like, I'd take the inexperience. I mean, how do you guys feel about it? How would you play it out? Because I just don't want to see Tom Brady get hot. And if they're vulnerable going into going into the playoffs, if they have to get beat up against a Rams team the week before, right? To have to face a team like that and to have to go through that type of gauntlet. And then they're facing the Cowboys on the road when the Cowboys are rested. I feel good about taking out that type of team, whereas they start rolling a little bit, and now I get a little bit nervous about it.
I couldn't agree more. And that's what scares me because I feel like everything is being set up for this to be a rematch of the first game of the season in the NFC Championship game. Everything culminates start to finish. I don't know. Just a little because that game was so built up and so big and so heartbreaking.
It was big. And I mean, as I say that we should have won it, right? You also have to concede that they did get 4 turnovers, right? Do you win the battle of turnovers 4-0 again? I don't know. But you're also playing in Dallas in my scenario and not in Tampa.
Same.
Which isn't a terrible thing for Tom Brady. Question is, will it be one of those dreaded afternoon games at AT&T Stadium where the sun plays a factor into it? Because I got so many playoff Cowboy memories of that type of crap coming into play, and it still drives me crazy. Like, I still fear that if I see it on Sunday afternoon or the Saturday early game, they very rarely put him in the Saturday early game, but they like to put him in the Sunday afternoon game. And I might start doing this move to the television screen. If that happens.
Yeah, I agree. I can't stand it.
No.
All right, I want to revisit something that we talked on and touched on a little bit earlier. Micah Parsons. So I saw on your Twitter account you're a Mavs fan, which makes sense living down there. So you are the perfect person to test out my comparison on. The trade on draft night, Micah for DeVonta Smith, was the NFL version of Trey for Luka. Thoughts on my comparison?
I think that's a great comp, right? Because both franchises and fan bases were like extremely thrilled with the deal that they got. I don't think either franchise would probably do it over at this point, and they feel like they got a stud, and they did. I think DeVonta Smith is a stud, and I think he's what Philadelphia needed. Now, could you all have used Micah Parsons? Yes. Would the Cowboys have used DeVonta Smith? No, probably not. So for the Cowboys, I think the fit was a little bit more so, but only because the Eagles probably could have used both. Do you feel, for the most part, that the fan base agrees with that sentiment, that they wound up getting the better end of the deal? Because, Micah, having played in that area for so long, there was probably a little bit of an affiliation there that was probably hard to fight back against.
Micah and Aidan are from the same town, too.
Oh, yep. For real? Okay. Man, that's cool. So did you see him in high school?
I did. Yeah. He was just like the craziest athlete of all time. He was the running back on the team. So he would return the kicks for touchdowns. He played on the basketball team, could dunk. He's everything you see on Sundays. We were like, wow, that guy's really athletic. It's been that way since he was 14. So it's cool to have seen that. And it's translating against the best athletes in the world.
Yeah, man, to see that up close must have been something cool. Although bummer that he lost that state championship game against Kyle Pitts. I
know.
Yeah.
And Kyle Pitts high school is 15 minutes from where I live.
That's right. Oh, really? All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Archbishop Wood. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy the athletes coming out of this area. Wouldn't expect.
Well, do you feel like DeVonta Smith though was the guy that you would have preferred out of those two? You're kind of biting your lip, not so much.
Yeah, so it's weird because I think Micah is the better player. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler for a lot of years, and DeVonta could be too. But if we take a step back and just look at the optics of the situation, the Eagles missed on so many receivers that they were in a point of desperation where they had to hit on one. So the move for DeVonta Smith makes sense because it was just I don't want to call it an act of desperation, but it was their last chance to finally hit on a bona fide stud at receiver, even though they probably left a better player on the board in Micah.
Your war room was literally being laughed at by the Vikings the year before.
Yes, with the Justin Jefferson thing. That's where we were at.
Yeah, boy, man, imagine a team with Justin Jefferson and DeVonta Smith. That could look a lot different. But I agree. You did get a bona fide. You finally got a bona fide one. Who knows? Maybe Jalen Reagor will become that at some point. But, a lot of folks here in Dallas certainly thought very highly of Jalen Reagor when he was playing for the Horned Frogs.
At TCU. Oh, that's interesting. I never, there was always mixed reviews on draft day, so I didn't know how they felt, at TCU
people, draft people down here were definitely singing his praises and thinking that he would be a highly regarded player in the NFL, that he would have a lot of success and his speed would translate. None of those things kind of happened. And I still don't know whether it's the deliverer of the football that has held him back or if it's really his own skill set.
Yeah.
Any inside knowledge on the Horned Frogs head coach coming up? Is it going to be Deion Sanders or?
No, I wish I did have some thoughts on that, some knowledge on that, but no, all I see actually is that Gary Patterson, the former Horned Frogs coach, is visiting Austin and seeing what's going down there in Texas. Wow. So if you really want to, start the rumor mill going with the way that Texas is definitely not back right now. And Steve Sarkisian's job is as hot as any in college football after their abysmal performance against Kansas when they gave up a university record for points in a first half, and they did it against Kansas. In Kansas. The football team. This is not basketball. This is Kansas.
Did you see the video? There was a 5-star recruit and a 4-star recruit that were there in Texas gear, and they were literally live streaming themselves laughing at Texas when they lost. So like, look at these motherfuckers.
No,
like,
I did not, but that's hilarious. I mean, they had more 4- and 5-star recruits on that field, Texas did, than Kansas by a long shot. And for some reason, for whatever reason, because they have all the recruiting tools you could possibly ask for, right? The facilities, the town, the city of Austin is a college person's town. Like, it is the quintessential college town and a dream college town, especially for athletes, because, I mean, if they play well, I mean, look at Vince Young, right? He still gets to go back there and is treated like a god. And he was at best a middling NFL quarterback, right? It's really a phenomenal place to recruit, you would think, but they can't find the coaching to put it together, unfortunately, and they haven't found that under any rock they've looked.
It's true.
It's crazy.
All right, last one from me. Going back to the Cowboys. So obviously we've talked a lot about the Chiefs game this week, and that's obviously going to be a tough one in Arrowhead. But speaking of tough, the Cowboys play 3 games in 12 days. So they're on the road in Kansas City, at home 5 days later against the Raiders on Thanksgiving, and then they go to New Orleans. So give me your realistic expectations of this 3-game stretch in 12 days.
I mean, the realistic expectation, I will say this 3-game stretch looks a little bit tougher than it did at the beginning part of the season, but the Cowboys have played their soft underbelly, right? The stretch really from Tampa and maybe Carolina to now has been the soft underbelly. It was always going to be the weaker part of their schedule. Maybe the late games now against the Washington football team, now that they're starting to get injured and fall out of it, those look a little bit sweeter. But when I looked at those 3 games, I kind of assumed they would lose to the Chiefs, but win against the Raiders and the Saints. I think they're a better football team than both of those teams. I still feel like 2 out of 3 is how that's going to go. Even if that means they do wind up beating the Chiefs, right? Then maybe they fall and give one back against the Raiders, who got pummeled against the Chiefs. I mean, this is perfect. One of those football arguments. Well, so-and-so beat us and we beat them, so we're better. It's I always hated that argument because you just never know the individual circumstances of those games. But
like the Denver
Raiders
game.
Yeah, I mean, the Denver game is a perfect example.
Count. Yeah.
That was just one of those you got snuck. And also, Dak looked rusty. Like,
he did, big time.
Don't tell me he didn't, because he was missing throws that I feel like he normally hits. CeeDee Lamb got open and like 5 to 6 yards free, and he missed him about 3 or 4 times. So that was just a struggle game for Dak Prescott, a game that many quarterbacks are entitled to, especially if you've been out, for 2 weeks because of a bum calf or whatever it was that they were doing there. So, this 3-game stretch is not necessarily a defining one, but I think they also do got to win 2 out of 3 to stay in that conversation, right? If you lose 2 of these 3, now all of a sudden you've given Arizona a little bit of cushion, right? And if they don't lose 1 of their next 3, then even beating them in week 17 isn't going to be enough to put you back on top, right? Give you the tiebreaker, because you got to be tied if you want the tiebreaker in a head-to-head scenario. So, 2 or 3 is kind of how I see it going, whether that means they beat the Chiefs and lose to the Raiders and then beat the Vikings or beat the Saints, or, they beat the Chiefs, beat the Raiders, and then lose to the Saints. I think all those are possibilities, but ultimately I think they wind up with 2 of the 3.
That's exactly my thoughts. All right, Aidan, you got anything left?
Nope, I am good. I am sick as well, so they don't want to hear me breathing in the mic anymore.
Well, I appreciate it, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Before we let you out of here, though, let everybody know where they can listen to the podcasts, how they can follow you on social media, pub it all.
Yeah, please. You can hit me up at RW3 as you see below. You can hit me up on Twitter. Twitter's usually my home base. I'm not a big Instagram guy or any of that stuff. I know I really should be a lot better about those things, but I only got so much time in the day, and Twitter provides me pretty much all the juice I need. You can find me at Blogging the Boys, bloggingtheboys.com. We do a podcast every Thursday that gets released. We do daily podcasts there on bloggingtheboys.com. And then also the Extra Crispy Pod with my man Mark Elfenbein, good friend of mine, a guy I worked with when we were on the air together as well at 105.3 The Fan there in Dallas, and a really good all-around dude, big sports fan, and we're kind of we're kind of old and new. He's a lot older than I am, so it's generationally there's some differences there that we have a little fun with. So yeah, that's kind of my portfolio at the moment, and yeah, thank you so much for any of the support that you got for me on that front.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate it. We'll have to have you back on when the playoffs roll around and the Cowboys are playing the Bucs in the first round.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we're gonna have a lot to talk about with these playoffs, and if the Eagles sneak in there, then maybe we're really talking about this rivalry again. So if that happens, I want first dibs on guest appearances if the Cowboys and Eagles do somehow wind up seeing each other in the playoffs, because I know a lot of people are going to be jumping to get on that.
You got it. 2 versus 7 seed. You're our guy.
Hey, that sounds. Hey, all you gotta do is be 7 this year, baby. There's one extra spot there that that's why the people are talking about the damn Patriots like they're a legitimate contender again all of a sudden because they won a couple games, and I'm like, let's slow down just a little bit, right? It's so funny. You see, and sorry to like take it on a random tangent.
No, go for it. We're here.
Trying to back out, but it's so funny to see the same guys that talk down on Mac Jones at the beginning of the draft, like then flip back and go, oh, I thought people told me that No. You told me that Mac Jones sucked. You said that Mac Jones wasn't good enough to like lead an NFL team. You said that. So are you going to be consistent with that? Or are you going to back out of that because he's had 4 nice games? Because they've had a couple of good wins, right? Are you going to stick to your guns, your original evaluation, which, by the way, I mean, I am kind of sticking to that. I don't think Mac Jones is that great. I know he's decent, but I don't think he is that great. And I have questions about whether or not he's going to be a long-term answer there at quarterback. So if I'm wrong, I'll take those shots, right? Hit me with the bullets, right? But I'm at least going to stick with it for now, and I'm not going to change it just based on a nice 3 or 4 game stretch that all of a sudden record-wise has them in the conversation in the AFC, because there's a lot of teams that are in the conversation in the AFC right now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
true.
Yeah.
It is.
No hating, nothing personal on Mac Jones. Just one of many rants that I can give you on occasion.
There's just so many storylines too, and so many storylines going forward and to end this season, and things that are going to happen, including going back to the Cowboys. They get Randy Gregory, Neville Gallimore, Lawrence coming back. There's just so many exciting things, and things that is going to be fun to see how they turn out.
Well, thanks again, boys. It will be a lot of fun, and I'll be watching it with you. We'll be following along with what you guys are doing as well. So look forward to catching up with you in the future.
Thank you, brother. Good. Appreciate it.
I'll see you second week of January.
Hey, Aidan, I can't wait for it, man. And you're going to have a smile on your face a mile long, I tell you. Not going to be so depressed looking like you are now.
Oh, I love it. Aidan, what an awesome interview once again. We bring nothing but A+ guests, don't we? I mean,
I love it. I love it. I knew this week was big on energy. I'm lacking it, but I'm not. I'm trying to be there. So we had a great guest on who brought the energy. Listen, the energy has to match the importance of the game, and I think Roy did that. So thank you.
Amen. All right, I know you. So we have our picks to do and our TikToks, but I know before we get there, you have some points you want to make around the NFL.
Yes, I've made some observations on the NFL after the past week or so. Let's start here. My dream of Kayvon is dead. The Ravens, I'm not mad. I'm just severely disappointed. You had one job. Now it's to beat the lowly Dolphins. Now I'm going to lose Kayvon forever. But when one door closes, the other one opens. I don't know if you saw on Saturday, Aidan Hutchinson, great name, 3 sacks, absolutely dominated at Penn State. I'm like the guy in You. Like once he's done with one person he obsesses with, then he just quickly finds another. And he's like, all right, I'm obsessed with you now. That's me, but like with NFL draft prospects.
You talking about me?
No, you.
Me?
No, you.
What do you mean, me?
No. Like you. You.
I didn't play for Penn State.
No. Not Penn State. You.
But I didn't do that. I've never had 3 sacks in a game.
No, he's not in the show. That's you.
What is you? What is me?
You is you the show with the people that are you.
I am not on a show. I'm just on this show.
You're on this show, not on the show you.
What? I can't deal with you. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't. Oh, man. I don't think we're on the same wavelength here.
All right. Let's just move on.
I've got one more around the NFL point. The Titans just keep winning. They have the best strength of schedule. Like, if this were the BCS system, they have the best strength of schedule. They'd be 1 overall playing the national championship. They play like how Khabib would fight in UFC fights.
Yeah.
But like everybody wants to see first round knockout and like all the energy that comes with it. And he just gets you down to the mat and strangles you.
Slowly kills you.
That's what the Titans do.
Yep.
They're like, all right, we're gonna just force feed Derrick Henry when he's there, and then everybody else now that he's gone. And also, here's our defense. Good luck. We're just gonna strangle you to death.
And you're dead.
Yeah.
And you're dead. Oh God. Well, hopefully I can produce for the Eagles once I'm drafted.
There you go. Yeah. It's 3 sacks.
3 sacks from Penn State. I can do it.
Yeah. So those are my around the NFL points. I've been writing down observations about the league.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Let's get to our picks presented by Odds Crowd. We each give 2 game picks a week. I don't remember. I know I definitely won 1 game. Don't know about the other last week. So I'm going to say I went 2-0 again.
I was 0 for 2. I'll take this one on the chest. That was my first 0 for 2 week. Chargers let me down. The analytics tell me their defense stinks. I wish I would have known my analytics system before I bet on them. You
should have tapped into those analytics. So, all right, I will let you go first. We'll each go rapid fire back and forth our 2 picks.
All right, I've got Packers minus 2.5 over the Vikings. I can see them winning by a field goal. I could see them winning by 5 field goals and 15 points. Doesn't really matter. I just think they're a better team than the Vikings. I think their defense is legit, even though the Seahawks offense was terrible. Even without Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon came in and filled right away. And Aaron Rodgers is back, immunized and ready to go.
All right, I am taking the 49ers minus 6 in Jacksonville. I think the Niners found their swagger against the Rams. I wish I would have seen that entrance video of them before the game, because then I would have bet all the money on the Niners. Seeing Deebo Samuel dancing and then going, "It's not safe for you." It was done. It was done and over. Niners are back.
Should have rode with me. I was big on the 49ers that night. Big fantasy implications. Deebo came through clutch. All right, next one. I've got Bears and Ravens over 45.5. I think the Bears have at least looked competent on offense lately. They're getting David Montgomery back. Justin Fields looks a little bit less like a deer in headlights and more ready to run and use his legs. So I think they'll score a little bit more. And then obviously Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. So they score points. So over 45.5, Bears, Ravens.
Love it. All right, my second and final, Colts and Bills. Bills are a 7-point favorite at home. I am going Colts plus 7 in this one. I think Carson Wentz and the Colts are finding their stride. Taylor is an absolute freak in the backfield. Stopping giving him the ball. Continue to give him the ball through the game, okay? I think the Colts keep this one safe. The Bills have been when they're playing good teams and sometimes even not good teams. Not saying they're not a good team, but I think the Colts keep this one close and definitely keep it within a touchdown.
I agree. I hope so, at least.
All right. We're going to bring Vincent in here, and we're going to finish this show off the right way, which means the TikTok way. Vincent, hello.
Hi. So I just put a cup of coffee on the K-cup thing, so it's going to sound like I'm going to the bathroom in a sec, but it's just coffee.
Great timing.
Yep.
You're on the show for 3 minutes, and you decided this was the best time. Thanks, Vincent.
You guys have ripped through those picks.
That's what we do.
We do, too, every week. You listen to them twice because you listen to them live and then produce it.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least I can't hear the goddamn dog.
Listen,
yeah, you got your barista and a zookeeper. What else are we doing?
Producer.
Podcast.
Very good producer. Yeah. Very good podcast producer.
Yeah. High school.
Next
high
power
school
rankings
creeper.
we'll do is
you hang out in the high school with the kids.
That's work. Thank you very much.
That's what they
Vince, next TikTok, we're gonna power rank all the jobs that you do.
Yep. And how many jobs you've quit. We're gonna power rank all the jobs.
We should power rank jobs that I quit.
Yep.
Jobs that I quit. And reasoning why.
Oh, here it goes.
All right, let's start this up. So what are we
TikToking
today, Aidan?
All right. So Derrick Henry is obviously out for the season. He was a beast in fantasy football this year. So we're doing top 5 running backs to ride with in fantasy football for the rest of the year now that Derrick Henry's out.
Love it. Love it. 5?
Yep.
Perfect.
Normal triangle. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So at 5, I have my flyer. I have David Montgomery. He was a top 15 running back before he got hurt. And at the back half of last season, he went on a tear and was near a top 5 running back. So I'm looking to see if he repeats that magic this year.
Love it. 5 for me, it's Zeke. He's been getting the touches. He had 2 touchdowns last week. I think they're going to keep feeding him on the goal line, especially because Jerry Jones even said it this week. He wasn't that happy about Dak Prescott punching his way in the end zone. So I think as much as possible, they're going to give Zeke those goal line touches, and he's getting his yards and his catches. He seems like a different running back receiving the ball this year too. So he's going to get you those points. Zeke at 5.
5, I have Alvin Kamara. Like you said, we think he's coming back this week. And then especially if you're in a PPR league, he's always a monster. He's always catching the ball. Also, who else is on the Saints? What else can you do? It's got to be Alvin Kamara and pretty much nothing else.
True.
And
All
also,
right, at
you know,
4,
don't got to worry about it if he tortures you. Just saying.
Okay. At 4, I have Dalvin Cook. Always sturdy, always dependable, has been for many years every time that he's healthy. So I don't have much stats and analysis, but everybody knows he's been fluttering around top 5 running back in fantasy for a long time.
4 for me, I'm going Aaron Jones. I think he's the most underrated running back in the entire National Football League. He can catch the ball, he can run it, he's got speed, he's got power. The only reason I don't have him higher is because of the addition of A.J. Dillon this year, and Dillon seems to be pounding the rock. I think he has like 7 yards rush right now that he's averaging. So Quadzilla is an absolute beast, but I think Aaron Jones, I know he's injured right now. He's going to be out like 2 weeks, but on the back half of the season, after that rest, staying off his legs for 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to feed him, especially once the snow starts falling.
4 for me, I have Jonathan Taylor. Run Carson Wentz and the Colts right into the playoffs, especially if Carson plays 70% of the snaps.
Correct.
Hand the ball off. Don't have to throw. Don't have to drop back. Don't have to worry about getting hit.
All right. At 3, I have Austin Eckler. We touched on it with Kamara, but just another PPR option. So he gets a lot of looks out of the backfield. The Chargers offense has been struggling, but they're doing a lot of check down. So Eckler is still getting points. So at 3, I have Austin Eckler.
3 for me, it's Christian McCaffrey. He's been injured this year. I have him in one league, but he's going to catch fire. They have Cam now. Cam's going to use him in all different type of ways. I know he may lose a couple touchdowns down at the red zone at the goal line, maybe if Cam's running in, but McCaffrey's still going to be a monster at the end of the season.
I have bad news. I might have another Derrick Henry situation on my
hands.
hands.
Christian McCaffrey, didn't you?
Maybe.
3 for me, I have Dalvin Cook. Aidan said it well. You don't really need stats behind this. He's, been a top 5 running back while he's healthy. That's also because his quarterback kind of sucks. So, got to hand the ball off as much as possible when your quarterback is super fucking average.
All right. At 2, I have Alvin Kamara. Like we talked about, it's not that the Saints don't have many dynamic options on offense. They don't have any dynamic options on offense aside from Kamara. Makes some good option in PPR. Plus, the Christmas Day game will always be in my brain, so he'll always be on this list for me. At 2, I have Kamara.
2 for me, it's Kamara as well, for all the reasons you just said. PPR league, and who else is on the Saints?
2 for me, Christian McCaffrey. I definitely didn't put him here because I also forgot him. But PPR threat. Cam Newton's back. Already has the rapport with his new quarterback. I don't really care if he's going to miss out on touchdowns because he'll get other ones.
1.
All
right. At 1, I have Jonathan Taylor. You could have made the case the way he's playing lately that he could have been RB1 even when Derrick Henry was here. He was on that trajectory. And, leaving McCaffrey off the list, he's just going to get touchdown vultured by Cam Newton, and they're still using Chuba Hubbard. And definitely not because I forgot Christian McCaffrey on my list. So at 1, I have Mr. Dependable, blow by speed, surprisingly, Jonathan Taylor.
Here we go again, Aidan. Same brain. Number 1 for me, Jonathan Taylor, for all the same reasons you just said. The only thing that's going to hold him back is Frank Reich and Carson Wentz just forgetting to use him in the second half of games. Continue to feed him. We saw what he did on Thursday night a couple weeks ago. Like you said, he broke a 78-yard run, and that speed, as soon as he got through the hole, no one was catching him. He's dependable, he's sturdy, and he runs like a damn cow that can run a 4.4 just running people over. It's unbelievable. He's got speed, he's got size, he's got power. He's a freak. Jonathan Taylor, 1.
1 for me is a big if, but I think if everything goes right, it's a lock. I have Miles Sanders. I think if the Eagles use him the way they've been using everyone else and they keep pounding running the football, I think there's
Rather you say Jordan Howard.
I think there's a legit chance for him to be one of the best running backs in the league, if not the best fantasy option.
At least that took me off the hook for the McCaffrey thing.
All right. Thank you, Vince.
All right. Thank you, Vince. Great TikTok tonight. Great show. Battled through it. I'll tell you what, the Sleepy Time Bear tea is about to, ooh, baby. Listen to this.
Nighty, nighty, night, night.
Time to go to bed.
Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the Cowboys and the Chiefs. Enjoy the Eagles and the Saints and all of the other NFL games this weekend. We're at week 11 already. It's going way too fast.
Oh, I don't like it.
Enjoy every second of the red zone and all the games this weekend. But we do have one extra week this year. Can't forget that. Even though it might be Cooper Rush versus Jalen Hurts. We don't know. But
For the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah. Could be for the playoffs. Could be.
Yeah.
All right. We will be back with our reaction pods on Sunday. I do one. Aidan does one. They drop on YouTube. They're about 10 to 15 minutes. Our instant reaction as soon as the game's over. So you get passion, you get information, you get everything you need. So make sure to check those when they drop either on Sunday or Monday. We will definitely pub them on our Twitter, on our IG, Birds vs. Boys pod. And thank you again to Odds Crowd, Stateside Vodka, and Roy White III. We'll be back next week for Aidan and Vince and Branded Sports. This is Kmess signing off of Birds vs. Boys.